Morning everyone.
Morning.
It's been a bit chaos this morning, hasn't it, darling?
It has.
Tracy's got a day off today and she intended having a lie in, but that didn't happen.
No.
David's van's had to go in for MOT today, so it's been a morning of disruption. Anyway, they've gone out now, so we'll make this video while there's some peace and quiet. Yeah. This video today is about coincidences in a way. I'm gonna tell you something. This is it makes you worry really, because this week I don't know when would it have been, beginning of week, you decided to use some lemons up.
Oh,
Cut
yeah.
them up and put them in a jug of water.
Yeah.
To have lemon water.
Yeah.
Now, that's happened down here,
Yeah.
okay? And that were at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
And yesterday, when I went on YouTube, a thumbnail came up on the screen, you know how it gives you browse, whatever. And a thumbnail come up on the screen on YouTube, all about lemon water.
Really?
I have never said anything on YouTube about lemon water.
It were over there.
It were over there.
I don't know whether it's over there now. I just moved it.
It's unbelievable.
What about lemon water? Is it not
I
good for you?
didn't click on it.
All right.
Oh no, it was saying it was good for you, I think.
Right.
But I didn't click on it and go into it.
Right.
Or else I've probably been inundated with
Lemon
things
water.
about lemon water. But I just thought, whoa, that is weird. And there was another. Well, this was a long time ago. When we ran the art gallery, the Breadline Gallery, a couple, they were young then, called Rob and Sue. They were toy makers, wooden toy makers, and they were living temporarily with Sue's parents in Leeds, and they asked me if they could rent a room in the gallery to make the toys in temporarily, because they were buying a house in Lincolnshire. Now I mean,
I don't think they said where they were buying it. They were just
they
buying
did,
it.
because
Did
they told me.
All right.
They told me it was on a hill.
Oh.
It was at the top, on the top of a hill in Lincolnshire, overlooking Lincolnshire, and they said they were telling me about it, saying it were a lovely, quiet place, you know, in the middle of nowhere. They said, and of course, I mean, I didn't know much about Lincolnshire at that time at all. We were running the gallery. I think I might have been at art college as well. I'm not sure. But they were a really nice couple, Sue and Rob, and they even put some of the toys in the window.
Yeah.
But they mainly sold them at fairs. They went to craft fairs and stuff. Anyway, I can't remember how long they were in that room in the gallery, but eventually the house was ready and the sale went through. I think they were buying it, you know, and it takes time. And off they went. And that were in the, would have been in the 80s, early 80s, maybe 80 or 81, something like that. And of course, when we moved to Waddingham in Lincolnshire in 1984, it took a long time for me to establish a tuning round down there. and I would imagine it would have been in the 90s, or even later. I think maybe the late 90s. I went to this little village called Claxby, and it was actually a piano teacher who I went to tune her piano. I've been going for quite a few years, but I don't know how it transpired, how it come to light. I mean, I would have been talking to Anita, the piano teacher, and it turned out that a little girl that she was teaching was the daughter of Sue and Rob, who lived
Up the hill.
up the hill. Claxby was at the bottom of Norman. It was called Norman Billy Wold, up at the top of the hill. Little tiny place, just a church and a few houses.
Little hamlet.
A little hamlet at Norman Billy Wold, and Claxby was at the bottom of the hill. Turned out to be Sue and Rob, and that's another of these strange coincidences.
Didn't you go to Sue and Rob, to Sue's father's house as well?
Well, that's another. That brings me to another thing, because that brings me to Ron Jones. Now, I started tuning. Ron had a grand piano, and he had this piano in this room, and it had this massive great window here, and it overlooked the park, and there used to be a footpath that went by his window at this park, and further up the road was like a small industrial estate, and people used to walk up and down the path to work at this a factory or something on this industrial estate, because they used to look in at me tuning the piano while I were at Ron's, and it overlooked the park. And anyway, I tuned the piano at that time when I first started tuning in the in the 80s. Well, it'll have been 85 thereabouts when I started tuning Ron's piano. He was married to a Scottish lady, and he was a grain merchant, was Ron, and suddenly his wife divorced him.
He were on his own.
He were on his own.
He were on his own.
And I continued going to Ron's house, and he were on his own. And one day he said, would you like a drink? And he made me a cup of tea, and it was sour, what milk, it were all curdled, this tea, and I won't drink it. And he said, why haven't you drunk your tea? And I says, because it's sour, milk's sour on. He says, get away, Solly. Penicillin, it won't do you any harm. And he was really disgruntled because I didn't drink this tea. Eventually he remarried, did Ron. And I tuned his piano for 25 years at least. He got into his 80s and he retired, and he was in his 80s. And he said, I've got a friend that I'd like you, I want you to go and tune his piano in the village, in Market Raisin. So I went. There was this old gentleman who just moved from Leeds, and it turned out to be Sue's dad, Rob and Sue.
Yeah.
So he were getting on, and he decided to sell the house. His wife had died, Sue's mother, and he decided to come and live near Sue. So he bought this house in one of these
little complex.
Yeah. So all these
strange things,
strange coincidences that happen to you in your life. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron were an interesting fellow, wasn't he? Grain merchant.
Yeah.
He got deafer and deafer as time went on, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And his second wife was quite a bit younger than him, and she had a family before
Yeah.
she married
Ron.
him, didn't she? And the house sort of took on a really different atmosphere because her family used to come and they had children of their own, and she redecorated and did loads of different things, and she was ever so nice, really nice lady, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, I never met his first wife, but his second wife was good, wasn't she?
I remember one day I went to tune his piano and he says to me, well what? He says, haven't you noticed? Noticed what? He says, I've redecorated and I've got new curtains up and you haven't even noticed.
He's not the most observant. He's not.
I haven't
No.
noticed, no.
I could change the room round and he'd be in it 2 or 3 days and he'd say, there's something different here. I'd say, yes, I changed the room round 3 days ago. He'd say, well, I thought there was something different.
You French polished a sideboard for him.
Oh, Ron.
For Ron, didn't you?
Oh, yes, I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
And touched piano up a bit because I think it got scratched, didn't it?
I think it got a ring mark on top of the sideboard and you French polished it for him.
Yeah, did.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I think Lincolnshire people, the older men maybe, have a thing for not worrying about whether it's a bit stale or a bit green mouldy or a bit off, because we had another customer that tried to give us some cake that were green mouldy, didn't we?
Mr. East.
Yeah, Mr. East.
Mr. East.
Oh, and then Wendy were a bit like that, wasn't she? He got a funny tummy at Wendy.
I had a meal at Wendy's and I was sick as a dog that night. It's funny, but people, Wendy was old, and she grew all her own veg and everything. And I mean, I don't know whether she washed this veg when she pulled it up out of the ground. I think she just threw it in a pan and boiled it or whatever. And I mean, her stomach must have been like cast iron. She could eat, but I made the mistake. There was a funny story about Wendy, because when I were in my church days, I did go to this church, and there were this guy from Nigeria who came to the church, and people gave him some hospitality. He come to stay with Gareth, the minister.
And we had him over for
a lunch, and we took him to meet Wendy.
Yeah.
And Wendy asked us if we'd like a drink. I mean, I think you were fairly safe with water. She said, would you like a penguin? And this guy from Nigeria says, you eat penguins?
Penguin biscuit.
Penguin biscuit. He thought it was a penguin.
I think she used to make a stew or a vegetable thing, and it'd be on stove for 3 or 4 days, and I think it was one of them days that she offered us this meal, and your stomach couldn't take it, could it?
No.
Something, well, not right.
And old Mr. East, he fished a jam sponge out of a cupboard, didn't he? And it was green mouldy. And he said, no, get it down.
It's only penicillin.
It's only penicillin, it won't do you any harm. Yeah. He was an old gentleman, and he had a massive organ as well as a grand piano. And one day complained, he said to me, there's a noise coming from my piano. He says, I've recorded it for you to listen to with this noise. And he played me this recording. And all I could hear on this recording was Mr. Reese humming. When he played the piano, he used to go, and he wanted me to listen to this noise on the piano. All I could hear was him humming. And he had a skating rink in his back garden. He used to put water in it, only shallow, and then it froze in the winter. And he used to skate round it. And he was an old man.
Yeah, he was getting on. Yeah. He had loads of sheds, didn't he, with all sorts of tools and different things.
Yeah.
Go rummaging around this shed and that shed.
Yeah.
And the skating ring, it was like a concrete base.
Yeah.
And it was a bit deep, and then he'd put water on it.
Yeah.
So it'd freeze, and then he'd go skating round it, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
They were amazing.
Amazing old chap, yeah. Just sometimes I recall these eccentrics, English eccentrics.
Yeah, that's what they were.
That I used to tune for, yeah. When I remember them, I'll tell you about them. Yeah.
If you can hear a noise, it's dishwasher. Put dishwasher on.
Well, we've got fog this morning outside. It's foggy, cold and foggy day.
Yeah.
I want to change the empty gas bottle in the camper. Sells it down at the boatyard, but I'm reluctant to do it at the moment because
hurting himself when he lifts it, settee.
I'd better leave a bit of time.
Maybe David would go down with you.
Oh no, I don't want to be bothering David. I'm getting all right. I can't feel up now. I'll do it, but I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't think there's any. The sites won't close unless the government tells them they have to.
Yeah.
So, but there's all sorts being cancelled at the moment.
What we'll do? I've got a letter this morning telling me that the hospital's going to phone me in January. So I'm hoping they're going to phone me on my mobile, just in case we're not here. But,
she tried to ring them up today to make sure they've got the mobile number, the right number. And she was 16th in the queue. So she didn't bother.
Put phone down.
And in this letter it says, don't ring us, we're inundated more or less.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I won't ring you for an appointment or to change an appointment. It's just to make sure they've got the right number.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them ringing house phone just in case we're not here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't give house phone number out because, well, for one thing, I don't know it.
Yeah.
I hardly know my own number. I've had to write it down to make sure I can give a right one. So we'll try that again another day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
See how I get on.
Yeah. Different days, different times, it can be a bit better, but probably not with NHS at the moment.
Who knows? Anyway.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Alright, that's it for today. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.